Hello guys, thanks for joining me. Today I'm going to show you an old school survival knife, and this video is dedicated to you, Jim Timber. I enjoyed your recent video on your knife and I thought you might be interested to have a look at my old school vintage survival knife. So it's an American Air Force knife. It's called the Aircrew Survival Egress Knife by the military. It was developed back in the early 1950s, I believe, just at the beginning of the jet age. And it was used by the US Air Force, US Navy, and also by the Army. And it's quite a nice knife. I don't think it's as popular nowadays as it used to be. But anyhow, I bought this knife back in 1989 or early 1990. I can't remember exactly when, but I used it in my prepper days. I was a prepper from the early 80s up until the late 90s. Active prepper, that is. And I used it for my hiking for many years afterwards, but at the moment I haven't used it for the last few years. It just sits on that belt there. So it has a leather sheath on it. As you can see, the knife is in the sheath, and there's a metal plate on the back here just to stop the blade coming through the leather and into your leg. A couple of holes on the bottom here and a couple of holes on the top of the sheath here, so you can have a leg tie on the bottom here and tie it to equipment or whatever at the top there. There's a little pocket here that contains a sharpening stone. Not the best quality, but it's useful to have nevertheless. As I say, it's a survival knife. The strap here would have popped shut, but it's broken over the years, so I've just attached a piece of paracord to the top just for the just for security, stop the knife falling out. So we'll just take out the knife. So as you can see, it's quite a old school knife. It's not as exciting as modern knives, I suppose, but I quite like it. It was designed, as I say, in the early 1950s, and basically designed to allow pilots to get out of their aircraft to begin with, and as a survival and stroke fighting knife afterwards. So there's a saw on the top here, which is not a wood saw. It's a saw designed to cut through metal, and we're talking about the aluminum airframes, or punch through the plexiglass of the cockpit. The actual knife itself is about 10 inches in length. The handle is about 4.5 inches, and the blade is about 5 inches in length. Blade has quite a nice clip point, as you can see. It is coated in a dark zinc phosphate coating for protection against rust. And as I say, it's a 5-inch clip point, flat beveled, swedge grind blade. It's a full-length tang. The pommel in the back here is designed for smashing through glass or whatever. It is dated on one of the sides here. Mine is dated, I think, in June 1989, and it's marked Ontario, so that's the Ontario company. They were based in New York State at the time. The knife is still being produced for the civilian market nowadays. I believe the company was taken over a few years back, and they're made in Virginia now, but I had a Japanese copy prior to this one here, which I used for many years before I bought that one, and then I used this one here for many years afterwards. So it has a leather washer grip. As I say, it's a full-length tang. A couple of so-called blood grooves, fuller grooves, just to reduce the weight of the blade. So as I say, 5 inches in length, and it's about 0.18 of an inch thick, so quite thick. Quite a handy knife for general camping duties, which is what I used it for. It's quite a tough knife. The metal of it, the metal of the blade is 1095 steel, so it's quite a hard steel. But having said that, it's quite easily sharpened. It doesn't hold its sharpness very long, though, if you're using it, but easy to sharpen anyhow. And as I said, a very tough steel. You can see the pommel is hexagonal in shape, and that was designed to stick into the oars of the survival raft that the pilots were issued with. So it could have been stuck into the oar to be used as a spear or harpoon as required. A couple of holes there in the front guard there, just again to secure to something, to a branch, for example, again to make it into a spear, for example. So it's I think it's a 55 HRC hardness, and I quite like the knife. They're not as popular nowadays as they used to be. They were used a lot by the military back in the day, but I mean, you got more modern designs nowadays. A lot of soldiers use these. A lot of army soldiers use them because they're just handy, being a small, I think I'm just over 9.5 inches in length, so it's quite a small knife. It's a better blade than the issue M7 bayonet. The saw is pretty hopeless for wood though. I mean, that's probably the only negative aspect to the knife for a day-to-day usage, for civilian usage. But as I say, that's my Ontario 499 knife. So I'll leave it at that. Hope you enjoyed that video. And it's nice to bring out my knife occasionally. As I say, I haven't used my knife in many, many years. I got it on my old Boy Scout belt there. In the meantime, my old prepper belt. And that's it, I suppose. I'll leave it at that. As always, thanks for watching, and bye for now.